Hello friends, today we are in one of the most magnificent gardens that we have the joy and the blessing and the privilege to tour. We are at the display gardens / trial gardens here at Spring Meadow Nursery in Michigan. This of course is the home to all of the proven winner ColorChoice shrubs, and Jerry, myself, and Brittany are here for the leaderboard event with the proven winners ColorChoice shrubs. So of course we have to come to one of our favorite gardens to film and to absolutely visit and walk through. This is a private garden, so it is not open to the public. So this is why we do videos like this, so that you can get a glimpse inside of this garden. It is spectacular. So what we're going to do today is we are going to visit the garden in different areas and really kind of highlight shrubs that maybe that we're not used to in our North Carolina gardens. You get to see them in mature size and just enjoy the absolute beauty of this space. So just to kind of give you a quick little rundown of this space, this garden is over 20-something acres, I believe. I mean, it is huge and expansive. And so what they do is, of course, the life cycle of a proven winner ColorChoice shrub is very long. So they test them, they trial them. Once they make the final cut to see if they think that they could go into the line, that's when they come here into the gardens and they get planted. So you will have shrubs and trees in here that are going to be in like 3s and 5s, and get to see what they are. All right, my friends, we took a little pause. The founder, Mr. Dale Deppy, came through, and so we stopped to talk with him. So let me just recap real quick. So once the shrubs think that they're going to make the final cut, they come to this garden and they live for a couple of years. So that way they can test them in real life garden situations to see if they make the cut in order to go into the proven winner ColorChoice shrub line. And so there are going to be tons of plants in here that I do not know exactly what they are. That is the point of a test garden. So some plants I do know. So like this whole hedge here all the way around this circle. This is the Let's Dance Skyview. Of course, you know how much we love Let's Dance Skyview, reblooming, macrophylla, hydrangea. So we have got those. Then behind that is a hedge of Little Lime Punch. Again, going all the way through. This garden is a great example of how to design a garden with just trees and shrubs and get tons of interest, right? So having that layered effect like the smoke bush, that black smoke bush behind it. We've got some type of other larger panicle hydrangea back here. Then you've got like a calycanthus with that sweet shrub. All of those things. You've got Rosa Sharons, just to kind of give you those ideas of how to stagger and how to design gardens. Fun fact, my friends, you may look at these gardens and you're like, well, yeah, it's easy to get this kind of garden when you own Spring Meadow and you have all these large mature shrubs that you can add to your garden. No, my friends, every one of these plants that was in here was added as a court. Generally speaking, they will plant the plants, the shrubs in here as a quart size container. So they don't come in here as a 3-gallon, a 5-gallon. Now, obviously there could be exceptions with the trees and that kind of thing. But generally speaking, with these plants, they were quart size. And we have been blessed to come here for multiple years in a row to see how these gardens have progressed. Let me give you an example. So case in point, we were in this spot, I believe it was like 2 years ago. I'll go back and find that and we'll show it to you. But they had just planted these gardens. They were just developed. And y'all, they were all very small containers. But look at this. I mean, how they have grown and developed. Being a trial garden, of course, as plants succeed or don't succeed, they may switch things out, leave things in here. But you just have this beautiful display. And that's what I loved about coming here right after they had planted the gardens, is because I could really see how they were laid out. So case in point, we have got a beautiful panicle hydrangea right here. So a lot of times when they are planting, they'll do them in groups of like 3s and 5s, right? So they can kind of, if one plant dies, then you've got some other ones that kind of take up space. But here we have like a triangle, right? So they've put them in a triangle position. Then you've got a 9 bark back here. It looks like there's 3 of those as well. That's the dark bush back there. And so those are in a straight line. So you'll see different configurations of plants, and it just gives you a fun idea of how to get a big impact. Of course, keeping in mind that these are display/trial gardens. Look at these barberries, y'all. This is the Sunjoy Really Red. This is a great example of why we love coming here and doing videos and photography here, because you can see this barberry in all of its glory. Barberries, of course, they're deciduous. Yes, they have some thorns. It makes them great deer resistance, but to have this color in your garden, unbelievable. Now, if you want to plant 5 of them, of course you can. But if you just had 1, it would be a beautiful specimen plant. Love this. Absolutely gorgeous. And then of course you have it paired with another panicle hydrangea behind it with that white. Oh, it is absolutely lovely. So coming here and seeing how they have it kind of designed and put those plants together is really cool. But when they're coming here, for those plants and putting them in, like this hydrangea, I have no idea what this is. Obviously it's going to be some type of smooth hydrangea and arborescence, but I would suspect that this is probably not going to make the cut because it is kind of getting a little floppy. I could be wrong. They could be introducing it next year. But just walking through, like last year, we had the fun time of walking through the gardens with Dr. Judson LeCompte and Megan Matai, who are 2 of the plant breeders, research and development here at Spring Meadow. And so we were able to come through and walk and talk and see it through their eyes as opposed to my eyes. Another beautiful barberry. This is probably at Creekside is like the #1 selling barberry. This is Sunjoy Neo. Look at this, just beautiful. Now again, mass planting, there's probably, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 in here. Beautiful color, has that nice kind of that reddish you see deep down inside of it. It's a nice green, but Sunjoy Neo is a gorgeous specimen of a plant and just absolutely lovely. Then we've got, let's see, I don't know if that's labeled. We're gonna go up here. We have another one. It was the Toto, I believe. Yeah. So we'll just walk. Just enjoy the scenery. I'm going to highlight this right before we go to that other barberry. Again, another example of something that we don't have great success with in North Carolina due to our climate. But this is the black lace elderberry. Y'all, seriously, look at this. Now, this is a quite mature shrub. It has been here for a while, but look at this. Look at the texture, of course, the color. Oh my goodness. So just absolutely beautiful, mature specimen in here. Have it paired with some butterfly bushes, some more smooth hydrangeas in here. So we've got some sweet folks who are here, you know, maintaining the gardens, because tomorrow they'll have with the leaderboard come through here and everybody will get to walk and talk and see all the new introductions. The new introductions for 2027 are here in the gardens. They are not labeled. I don't have a clue what they are, but they're here somewhere. And so we will learn about those tomorrow as we attend. We will do a video introducing the new 2027 shrubs, but we have to hold off until later on in the fall. And once we get the green light from Spring Meadow, then we can go ahead and release those. A different way to look at barberries. So this is the Sunjoy Toto, a beautiful hedge. Y'all, I mean, seriously, look. Nice, short, petite, completely different color, nice, rich, deep purple, almost a like a black color, but it spans and it's nice and tight and compact. And then behind it, you could do whatever it is that you wanted to do. So you could have a different larger shrubs or trees or what have you. So here you go. So if you deal with, you know, rabbits and deer and the critters eating things, then, you know, check out the barberries. I will say also that the barberries, generally speaking, they are sterile. So if you've had problems with barberries before, I know certain parts of the country do. That is one thing that Proven Winners really tries to be conscious of, and so they have an in-check series, and that means that the plants that historically maybe produce prolifically and set their seed everywhere, they have created them to be sterile, and so that takes away that problem. So their butterfly bushes, their barberries, and multiple other plants that would go into that in-check series. All right. We're going to continue on and find some more goodies to share with you. All right, so remember how I told you that the vast majority of these shrubs in the gardens are planted as courts? Exhibit A. So, have no clue what this is. Obviously, it's going to be some type of arborescent hydrangea. So these were just planted this season as courts. So you can see, like up close and personal, that these are quart size, smooth hydrangeas. And you can see how close they are together, going to give you that mass planting. This time last year, when we were here for leaderboard, this garden had just been planted the exact same way with Let's Dance Skyview. So my friends, here in Michigan, I think they're like a zone 5AB, I believe. In 1 year's time growth, they went from a quart to this size. So there you go, mass planting of Let's Dance Skyview. Now, you'll also notice probably that these Skyviews are pink. When we were over in the lilac round, they were the blues and the purples. They are pH dependent, so depending on the soil's pH level will determine what color you're going to get on your plant. Blooms on new wood and old wood, so while we've got big, huge, mature blooms, we also have new buds coming up. Also, I have no clue, but just take a look up this tree, and that, my friend, all of that growth, that is a climbing hydrangea. So the climbing hydrangeas are in multiples of the tree because they too are test plants. This one clearly has been here for years and years. It does not harm the tree, and so just absolutely stunning. Last year also, just let Jerry just show you, like just pan over. Look at all these macrophylla hydrangeas. There may be some serratas in here, but overall they're going to be macrophyllas in here. And so coming through this garden we had come to a couple of years ago, and all of the hydrangeas were huge and massive and stunning. We came back, I think it was last year, and they had ripped them like all out and replanted new cultivars and varieties in here. And part of my heart was like, oh, but look at it now. And this is a Fairy Trail Bride. So you've got that example of that Fairy Trail Bride in here with those beautiful pure white color specific flowers on them. Then we move over here and you've got different ones, but a ton of these hydrangeas, like we don't know what they are, right? But just to have that cool color, and you're looking at it, when you're looking at the blooms, you know, you've got some with like the white eye here in them. Then the variation, you've got some serratas in here, of course the lace caps. Reminds me of a Tough Stuff in that series. I have no idea, but you look on the same, like in this category right here, this little collection, 3, you've got pinks, you've got blues. Like, look at this. This is like something that AI would have done, but it is the coolest coloring on those petals. Unbelievable. And to my knowledge, they do not manipulate the soil pH. So they're just sticking them in here One of my all-time favorite shade shrubs, paisley pup. So here we have a mature set of 3 paisley pups in here. Great evergreen. It's part of that deer-proof line, that Lakothe, a native shrub. Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable. We were trying to like tell Brittany and like kind of prepare her for a little bit of like what this garden looks like, but you really can't prepare until you actually see it in person. All right, we're gonna go find something else. All right, y'all, I promise that we did not intentionally decide to talk about barberries, but dear heavens, I am just a fan of barberries. Look at this cutie patootie. So yet another low growing hedge. This is that Sunjoy Mini Saffron. I mean, y'all, if you don't like boxwoods, if you don't like, if you don't like those kinds of hedge type plants, then check out barberries, especially if you have deer, rabbit problems, but it goes all the way around. Having that consistent one shrub all the way around makes a huge impact. Absolutely stunning. And then coming down, kind of going close to the river walk. This is what they call the garden. This is the Invincible Wee White, I believe, with some Incredible Blush in here mixed in as well. You'll notice behind that there is a wetland. So obviously leaving that natural. There's tons of cattails in there, but just planting these, maybe some, I don't know if it is the Invincible Sublime back there in the back. So you've got that layered of all these arborescent hydrangeas in here. Trying to figure out what the shrub is in the back. Maybe a 9-bark. I'm not really sure if that's what that is. But just coming around here, I'm like, what an absolute joy and blessing to be in this space. And it is so quiet. You'll hear a car go by every once in a while. We're here on a Wednesday morning, so there's not a lot of activity on the river. But I'm gonna let Jerry just film and show you this. When we've come in this garden, we've always stayed on the path, but I'm gonna throw Jerry a curveball. We have never been down this way. We've been in this garden numerous times and have never ventured down here. Y'all, look at this cutie patootie. I do not know. It's gonna be a button bush. I don't know the specific one. This is why we love button bushes. Look at the blooms on this thing, y'all, and it's absolutely covered. They look like something you would see underneath like a microscope. And then what's fun is as they age, of course, they'll go ahead and turn to brown and all the little whatevers fall off, and then they will turn a bright red. So like this is what it looks like when all of the petals will actually fall off, and then this will turn a bright red. Great native shrub, loves the moist. And you'll notice that as far as the covering, that there is a nice thick layer of a hardwood mulch in here. These gardens are on irrigation, which are going to be like pop-ups that will water the gardens. I'm not sure as far as like what their schedule is or anything like that, but just coming through here, and they have obviously a map of where all the plants are, so that way they can keep an eye and understand what's happening and kind of check on them. So they do like regular garden walks and checking on these new plants to see how they're doing. Like this smooth hydrangea, they have a record of when it started to bloom and then for how many weeks it bloomed continuously. So they keep all of that. A lovely, beautiful dogwood. I'd love a great dogwood, right? Clearly a lot of different kinds of hydrangeas in here. Potentilla. There we go. All right, let's go back up to close to the river. So this is a great example of, this is a stunning hydrangea. It caught my eye. I have no clue. There is a tag. The tag makes no sense, so we're not even gonna talk about it. But y'all, look at this. I don't know what this is, but I love this. Massive, obviously it's gonna be a macrophylla hydrangea, huge blooms. Same plant. Pinks, blues, more pinks. Look at the stems. They're near black. Seems like it's going to be a little bit of a bigger one in that kind of 3 to 4 tall and wide. It is, I would say, it's going to be a reblooming because you've got the old blooms and then we've got buds right here. But just, oh, I don't know what this is, but it caught my eye. I do love it. And then coming up here, they have labeled in the gardens ones that have already been, you know, are in the line. Like this is your Invincible Mini Mauvette, that color specific hydrangea, right? I can't even talk, but just beautiful. Just gives you ideas of putting them in mass all together. Absolutely beautiful. Lots of Durvillas. So of course the Kodiak line, so the Durvillas, that native shrub. Your Durvillas will give you these really sweet yellow blooms. Historically, I think there's zones like 3 to 7. We did Kodiak Orange at the house, being a zone 8A. Hey, it is loving life, so I'm very excited about that. Don't know if there's a tag on this. Oh. All right, we're gonna find something else to get into. So Proven Winner Color Choice Shrubs does have a line of trees. For example, this is Avalanche. This is a birch. Absolutely a gorgeous specimen of a tree. To get details, you can just do a quick little Google search on that. And then look, y'all, this is the dark lavender chiffon, of course, that Rose of Sharon. Your chiffon series, they're going to have these double blooms. They're considered to be sterile or a very low seed set. This is what I have growing behind the garden shed. I have 2 of these. Obviously it's going to be a more mature shrub, just beautiful. And then one of our favorite new introductions, I guess it was last year, the Incredible Stormproof. So here you have, there are 3 of them in here, and you can see nice, tight, beautiful, upright, no flopping on it. That great smooth hydrangea, beautiful. Obviously, it's going to kind of go towards the end of its bloom cycle. Somebody was asking, you know, how can you keep them from turning those colors? Well, this is what they do, right? So here you have that. And then look, the Oh So Easy double red rose. It is putting out tons of new growth, getting ready to bloom for sure. And then, oh, Cedar Rapids. So this Cedar Rapids is unbelievable. I say that all the time. I know people make fun of me. You're like, you can't find different words. Y'all, there's not enough words in the dictionary to describe the beauty of these gardens and these plants. So this fall cypress, I have some Cedar Rapids. I have one grown in an aquapot that desperately needs to come out, but a fast grower. Depending on where you live and what your climate is, if you are in Michigan, if you're in these cooler regions, then you know that you have to get your shrubs, trees in the ground before your winter hits, because your winters are brutal. We've never been here in the winter, and honestly, I don't really care to be here in the winter. So you have got to get your stuff in before the cold hits so that the roots get established before your ground freezes. The flip side, for us in the south, in the warmer zones, I don't really want to be planting my Cedar Rapids right now. It's too hot. I want to plant it in the cool of the fall and the winter. So this is why I say it's so important to be a student of your own garden, because any gardener, I don't care who they are, that says you absolutely have to do it this way, you must do it this way. No, you don't. It all depends on where you live, because different rules apply differently to different regions. For a long time, I said you can never grow hostas in the full sun. And then I came to Michigan and I was like, oh, never mind. Yeah, you can if you're in cooler zones. So for my cool people, you want to go ahead and go to your local garden center, go ahead and order those plants so that way you can get them established before your cold hits. My southern people, start planning, start dreaming of your garden, making that wish list. Go ahead and buy plants, move them up to a bigger container if you want to. That way when these beautiful cool days, God, we woke up, it was 54 this morning. The high up here today is 77. We're in heaven. When these kind of temperatures come to the south and stay, then that's when you want to go ahead and add these into the ground. So a fun little, talking about being a student of your own garden, here we have El Nino, right? So that Catalpa, she is in bloom and she is beautiful. I suspect she's probably been here for, a minute, right? So in Michigan, your El Nino is going to be more like a shrub. It's not going to get the crazy height that it does in North Carolina. Mine is almost like 3 times this size. But you love El Nino for these beautiful, like snapdragon-like flowers. Word on the street is it has a lovely light fragrance. I cannot smell anything. I don't know if it was because of a couple of years ago when I got the special little thing that was going around everywhere and it messed with my smell. For me, it has no fragrance whatsoever. Jerry's sitting here saying that he can smell it. So there you go. So it does have a fragrance, but I just can't smell it. But even though I can't smell it, it is absolutely gorgeous. So even though you cannot come to this display garden, y'all, there are probably, I can almost guarantee, there are going to be beautiful botanical gardens in your region. Go explore, do a Google search. A lot of universities will have display gardens, especially if you live in more of a metropolitan kind of area. There's going to be botanical gardens that you can go and visit. Try to check in with your local extension office. What do they have garden tours? Because I just cannot emphasize to you enough, when you go visit gardens, even if it's not the specific plant, but you look at the layout, how they have things designed, because as I always say, you could give 10 gardeners the exact same plants and they're going to design that garden in 10 different ways. You just glean so much on design and inspiration and color and texture and how they pair things. So just getting that little bit of inspiration and taking it back to your garden, even if you get one little nugget, it makes a huge difference. So I would really, really encourage you to find some botanical gardens in your region. Go explore. Grab some fellow gardeners and do a little road trip, right? Make it a fun event. So as always, we hope you have found this fun and informative and very inspirational. We could stay here forever and explore this garden because it is just one beautiful thing after another. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, we'd love for you to subscribe. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.